Hey guys, this is Chris from mixdown.online. I hope you're doing good. Now I want to talk to you about the new Cubase 9 that came out this week. I want to give you my take on it. And by the meantime, if you not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so by clicking on the subscribe button below. So let's get to it. Okay, so Cubase 9, wow, very nice update to be honest with you. It's an update that is made to increase your workflow. So let's start by talking about the zones. So in Cubase 8.5, what we had to activate a zone was the when we had our mouse at the edge of the project window. We had that option that showed up, and we clicked to have the zone accessible. So we had that on the left side and the right side and at the bottom. So now that has been removed and replaced by this menu up at the up right of the project window. So if we click on this one, we have the left zone. On the left side of the project window, we have the right one right here. And if we click on this one, we have the lower zone here. So all of these three zones are available as shortcuts or key commands. So you just, on Mac, you just click on command option and E for the lower zone, and then left, L for left, and R for right, okay? And you have, on top of that, you have, if you click on Command, Option, and T, you have the transport that is now included directly on the at the bottom of the project window, right below the lower zone. So if you don't want that, you can just remove it, and you can still have access to the old transport right here by clicking on F2. So now to select a zone, you just need to click on the zone you want to select, basically, or you can just click on Tab to go from zone to zone. So if we look at the lower zone here, we have 4 different tabs. And this is very interesting. We have the Mix console that is now in the lower zone, again, in the project window. So if you're working out of your laptop, this is pretty interesting for you because now you won't need to switch from the Mix console to the project window all the time. You can have everything in the project window if you want, and you can resize this lower zone as well if you want. By just dragging up and down the upper section here. And you can do the same with the right zone, okay, where you can drag it from left to right and just change the size. So this is very practical, especially if you're working out of your laptop. So this is something I really like, having the Mix console part of the project window. Very good for my workflow. Now, on the if we stick to the Mix console, you have the toolbar on top here where you can activate or deactivate by clicking on that button right at the top left of the Mix console. And you have the redo and undo, which I'm going to talk to you about later on. And this is new for this version of Cubase. So if you want to modify or edit what you see on the toolbar, just click at the far right of the Mix console, and you have the setup toolbar right here with all the options you can add or remove to the toolbar. And on the left side, you have your fader tab here if you want to see your faders out in the Mix console here. And you have the insert tab here and the sends if you want to look at your sends directly on the side here. Very practical. And again, if you want to have your Mix console in a separate window, you just click on F3 like you used to, or click on the small arrow right here, okay? And there you go. You have your full Mix console. Now, if we look at the editor here, this is pretty cool. Again, a new feature for Cubase 9. So before in Cubase, when we double-clicked on a MIDI segment or a audio segment, we had a new window opening up. But now when you double-click on your segment, the MIDI segment or audio segment, you have your editor directly into the lower zone in the project window. Very practical, very, very cool. I like this. So same for MIDI segment. And from that point, you can work and just work as you would normally if it was a separate window. And again, you can access a separate window by clicking on the small arrow right here. And on the left side, we at the on the inspector in the inspector zone, you have now the editor side of it. Okay, so there's two tabs at the bottom. There's the track tab where we have the inspector menu we're used to, and then now you have the editor menu on top of that. So this will give you the option of editing your audio or MIDI directly from that tab. For example, if you want to do some pitch correcting, you can access your Vary audio right on this directly in the inspector in the project window. So again, very fast to access. Now, if we go into the MIDI part of the editor window, now you notice that the color, the background of the MIDI window here is a bit darker by default. So if you want to change that and go back to a white background, just click on the Preferences tab right here and click into Colors and then Editors and just uncheck this Use Project Colors. And you're back to what you're used to. I'm just going to keep it to the darker tone. And now if you go at the editor tab right here and you're still in your MIDI editor, you can click here and select between the key editor and the drum editor and the score editor. Okay, so this is where you can have access to these different type of editors. So this is quite cool. Now let's see. Okay, so let's go into the sample control, which is a sampler integrated directly into Cubase. So I'm going to talk to you about that later on. And then we have the chord pads on the chord pads tab. So now for the, there's a key command that you can use to go from one tab to the other. You click on Command and Option, and you just click on the left and right arrow to scroll from one tab to another. So very simple. All right, so like I said earlier, if you single click on any segment, it will be shown below as far as your editor tab is selected. So if you're into your mix console and you select a segment, of course it's not going to be shown below, but if you double click on it, now your editor window will appear below. And from that point, you can just single click on any segment, it will be shown below. Now, if for any reason you don't see that option, and you always have to double click to see the segment, just go into your preferences and select editors and make sure that your editor content follows event selection. Okay, so if you have this option unchecked, every time you're gonna select a new segment, it's not going to be shown below. You're always going to have to double click to have it shown below. So just click on preferences, editors, and then make sure your editor content follows event selection is selected. Okay, so now let's select my drum loop right here. And you have here the Autoscroll that is accessible from the bottom editor window. And you can actually link it to the project window as well. So if we link them together, this is what you're going to see. Okay, so every time you're going to click on play, they will be linked together. So if you don't want that, just unlink, and you can use all the options here you want for your auto scroll. So this is pretty cool. So that's basically it for the zones in Cubase. So now this is an amazing feature. I really, really like this update of Cubase 9. Now the only thing though that I notice here is I never managed to find any key commands for these three tabs. To switch from the faders, to the inserts and sends. So I don't know, I didn't find any key commands. So if there's none, that would be a very cool addition to this version of Cubase, maybe in future updates. But if you know where to find the key commands for these 3 tabs, let me know in the comments. Now for the sampler control, very, very cool feature. Again, directly accessible in through the project window. So let's just take that wave right here, which is a pad, I think, and drag it into that window. And there you go. So now your whatever you dragged into the sampler control becomes a sample. And what it does here, it creates a sampler track, which is accessible via your keyboard controller. So if I play directly on my controller, it's going to play the sample. So basically what it's going to do, it's going to create itself a sampler track the minute you're going to import a wave into the sampler control. So you can record everything into MIDI. So very practical, very fun to work with, especially if you're doing sound design. So there's a lot of stuff for you creators to work with the sampler control. So if we just briefly go through all the settings, you have a pitch control right here, which you can play with the pitch of the sample. You have the audio wrap right here to sync everything into your project if you want. You have a filter control right here, and if you click on this option here, you can have your attack, sustain, release. And for this one, same here with the pitch, and same for the amp right here, which is your you set up your attack time for the amp side of your sample. And you can select only one segment of your sample if you want to. And you have a few loop modes here that you can choose from no loop to continuous, alternate, once, until release, and alternative until release. So there's a bunch of loop modes you can choose from. So a lot of stuff you can do with the sampler control. So if you're a creator or a sound designer, you are gonna love this. So you can import any audio out of your project, or you can actually just, let me get rid of this window, or you can just drag any audio from the media bay, for example, and drag it directly into the sampler control, and there you go. Very simple, and so that's about it for this brief review of the sampler controls. So now let's talk about the new Sidechain VST option. Okay, now this is pretty cool. Okay, so now let's open Retrolog, and what we have new here is the Sidechain option. So we can basically sidechain every type of audio directly into the Retrolog. So this is pretty cool. So there's a lot of nasty stuff we can do here. All right, so now let's check what we have here. I have a pad that we're going to listen to, and I'm going to send that pad directly into Retrolog in the Sidechain option. So now I'm just going to click on the output of my pad, and I'm going to route that directly into the Sidechain, which is now available. And now if I click on play, I'm not going to hear anything until I activate Retrolog. So just to listen to what preset I have on Retrolog, this is what I have. All right. Now, if I only want to use the effects out of this preset, what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to bring my oscillators down, and so I'm only going to hear the effects. That's pretty cool. So there you go. So you can blend some oscillators if you want. Let's click on play first. So So that's pretty cool. So this is the stuff you can do with sidechaining in a supported VST synth like Retrolog. The way I did it is by routing the output directly into the sidechain, but you can do it as a send effect as well if you want to. All right, so this is it for the sidechain. All right, so now let's go into our mix console. Now, a new feature that is called History has been added to the mix console, which is a undo and redo option on whatever you do into the mix console. Now, this is amazing. I really, really like this new feature. So let's click on the History tab on the top left. And now you have the history zone that is on the left. Now it's empty because I didn't do anything yet, but the minute you start playing with your faders, you'll see everything. All of your moves are listed into the history zone. So whatever you do into the strip, channel strip is the same. It's going to be listed. So let's say I just add a compressor right here. It's listed. If I change to a vintage compressor, all the moves are listed. So very cool, very easy to go back and forth. You can just click on the section you want to go back to, and there you go, it's done. So very cool. So undo, redo on the mix console, very nice feature. If you go back into your mix console in the project window, you have access to this undo and redo move right here. So everything you do here, you can undo and redo by clicking on these small options here, okay? Very nice, very cool. So this is it for the history option. Now let's go and take a look at the new plugins we have. So the first plugin here is the Frequency EQ, which is a stereo EQ, which has 8 bands. All of these bands can be worked into stereo mode or MS or left and right mode. So this is pretty cool. So for example, if I select on band number 6, I select a left and right mode. You have right here the band 6L and band 6R, which is right and left. Which you can work separately. So this is very, very cool. You can do the same with MS. Which is the mono section of the signal, which you can apply EQ to, and the sides. Okay, so this is very, very cool. So you have all these features you have on the 8 bands. There's another option you have here is the reset option, where you can just reset all of your bands to unity point, and then there's the auto listen for filters. Now this is pretty cool. So let's go and have a listen to our drum loop. And I'm just gonna activate this auto listen. So each time I'm gonna work on a band, it's gonna monitor the frequency I'm working on. Now this is very, very cool. Really like this option. Amazing. I love this. So this is the kind of feature you're going to find normally on a premium plugin. So to have that option in a stock plugin, I really like that. And now we have the settings options here, where you can select different bar graph if you want. You can work 2 channels. So there's a lot of stuff you can do here. Pretty cool. Then what we have here, we have this option here, which activates the piano. So you actually have a visual of a piano, so you can see the frequency you're working on directly on a piano note. So amazing, very cool. So if you don't want that, you don't like this option, just click on the small piano logo here, and there you go, it's off. So now you have access to a bunch of presets like you have on a regular plugin. And now the very cool feature of this plugin is that every band has access to a linear mode. Okay, so this is very, very cool. So basically, this will keep the frequency structure in phase with the original signal. So this is very cool to have as an option on a stock plugin. Amazing. So there you go for the frequency EQ. So now we have the compressor, which is the same compressor that we're used to, but with a new look. So same settings, same thing, but the look is way better in my opinion. And same for the limiter. Okay, so all of these stock plugins have been revamped visually. So we have the expander, same thing, that has been revamped, and same for the gate. Okay. So now the envelope shaper, same thing. And then we have the maximizer. Okay, so now the maximizer is very cool. So you have the classic algorithm and you have the new modern algorithm that is pretty cool. So there you go for the maximizer. So you can test that out and tell me what you think. And now we have the auto pan here. Now this is a very cool plugin. Okay, so let's try it out here on the drum loop. So you can draw your own patterns. Or you can select the different presets here, pattern presets that are accessible here. So it's very, very nice to have this kind of auto pan plugin here. So amazing, very cool. Again, you can be very, very creative with this kind of tool. So there you go for the plugins. All right, so now let's go and take a look at the plugin manager. Okay, so if you click into devices and click on plugin manager, there is something new here. It's called the blacklist. So I have a bunch here. So it's the blacklist tab here. Okay, so basically what that does is, for example, all of your 32 bits plugins are going to be into the blacklist. Okay, meaning that they're not activated. So every time you open up Cubase 9, there's a plugin scanner. It's called the Plugin Sentinel, which scans all the plugins, and all the unstable plugins or the 32-bit version of plugins are listed in the blacklist, basically. So this way you can update them or you can just remove them. So it's cool to have, you know, so it makes your system a bit more stable. So very good addition here. Now let's talk about the markers. Now there's something new here, which is the marker track. You can actually insert more than one marker track. Actually, I think it's up to 10 marker tracks that you can add to your project. So let's try this out and add a few. Let's add 4 marker tracks. And there you go. So this is quite useful, basically. So for example, you could set up like markers for your drum takes, and then another kind of markers for the vocals and stuff like that. You know, so that can be useful. So let's, for example, add a few markers here. So just make sure you activate the marker track you want to work on. Or else, if you just select the other one and you still add some markers, it's going to add markers on the track that is activated, okay? So just make sure you activate the correct track. So let's add a few markers. And then there you go. So now I am going to keep this one empty. Just going to bring it on top. And this top marker I'm going to use for to add some cycle markers. So basically this is my in and out selection to bounce or to cycle or loop section. So this is pretty cool. So let's try a few things here. I am just going to select this part. And you can actually add more than one. So I'm going to use the same track to add several cycles, and I'm going to explain to you why I'm doing so. All right, so I'm just going to activate this track. Now, the cool thing here is when it's time to export. So I can actually select these cycle markers to bounce these specific part of the song. Okay, so let's say I'm exporting my audio mix down here, and I activate my export cycle markers. All of my cycle markers that I set up here are listed right here. So I just need to check which ones I need to bounce. So let's say I bounce all 4 of them. I just click on export directly on the desktop, and I'm gonna, there you go, call it Cubase 9. And there you go. So now it's going to bounce all 4 different section of the songs as separate audio tracks. Okay, so this is very, very cool and very useful, especially if you're doing some mastering in Cubase directly. So there you go. You have your 4 exported files right here. So pretty cool. Very nice feature. So just don't forget that you need to activate your track before working on it. Because, for example, if I select this one, which has no cycle markers, and you bounce it, what's going to happen is that your cycle marker selection is not going to be available. Okay, so just make sure your track is activated and you're good to go. So there you go, guys. So this is my quick review of Cubase 9. If you already own the version 8.5, you can have this version of Cubase for $99 US. And this is something I like about Steinberg. When it's time to update their products, it's always a cheap fee to update. So this is something I really, really appreciate. So there you go, $99 if you already own Cubase 8.5. So there you go. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And don't forget to visit my website at mixdown.online and get your hands on my free ebook, free multi-track sessions, and so on. So until next time, see you.